Monty Williams' lineups continue to bamboozle me. We're going to talk about that as well as the Pistons' loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers in just a moment.
Passing lane, skies a jam. Dynamite dunk, and the crowd loves it.
Welcome back to Pistons Intellect. I'm your host, Jack Kelly. You can follow me on Twitter at Jack_Kelly_313. And before we get into today's show, if you're feeling so kind, please hit that subscribe button. Now, as I mentioned off the top, Pistons lose today to the Cleveland Cavaliers 100-110. And it was a weird game. I don't really know how to feel. I'm mostly I'm frustrated, but I think the frustration, because part of me is hopeful, like this is a game the Pistons were down by close to 30 in the second quarter. It's a game where in the third quarter, after getting it back to like 12 at halftime, the Pistons, or maybe it was 15, but the Pistons the league got back out to like 20, 22 points. And then the Pistons fought all the way back, all the way to like the final minute when they got it within 7 points, but just couldn't close or couldn't ultimately. The gap was just too big that the Cavs built. But so that gives you some hope because, just before the All-Star break, they went to Phoenix and it was a similar kind of story, but the Pistons never fought back. And that was just a crap game. And it was the same against the Lakers, the 2 games prior to the All-Star break. So it's nice to see them fight back. But, I think I want to start with this is just Monty Williams rotations. And this isn't a new kind of topic amongst Pistons fans. Obviously, Monty's commitment to continue playing bench lineups has been, a source of frustration for everyone. You even see the Pistons beat reporters now tweeting out throughout the game, like bench lineup in, because it's become such a topic that it's like everyone that has something to do with the Pistons on a day-to-day basis and it, is a fan that, consumes Pistons content on a day-to-day basis. Like everyone is in tune with how, crazy and ludicrous it is that Monty keeps playing these all bench lineups. But I think the thing that kind of just doesn't make sense to me is like my whole thing with the all bench lineup is like, it's not the fact that you're not staggering and having, K.Ivy out there at all times, or it's not that you're not having Isaiah Stewart or Jalen Duran always on the floor playing the center position. But to me, like, if this team was better and had like a bench lineup that made sense to put on the floor, then I would be okay with it. Like, but the bench lineup Monty continues to put out just makes no sense to me. Like, you don't have a point guard. So, like tonight, and this has been the case for the past few games, especially while Marcus Sasser has been out. Basically, the bench lineup consists of Malachi Flynn, Evan Fournier at the 2, Quentin Grimes at the 3, Fontecchio at the 4, and James Wiseman at the 5. Now, there's a number of issues here. First of which is you don't have a true point guard. Malachi Flynn, it's not a point guard. He's got some skill as a creator, but it's kind of clear and obvious why he's like a fringe NBA player at the point guard position because in my mind, he's a score-first 2 guard. He's just too small. And that's why he struggles to stay on the floor because you can only really play him at the 1, but he's not really a playmaker. So, you're playing him at the point guard. He's a distributor who's not, from what I've seen, naturally a distributor at all. Then Simone Fontecchio and Quentin Grimes, particularly Grimes, are 3-and-D wings. They're not, Grimes isn't going to give you a lot off the bounce. We've seen that so far. He can do a little bit off a pump fake, but he needs to be playing off someone like Ivy and Cade that create advantages. So there's issue number 2. Fontecchio, excellent kind of tertiary guy. He can play, if you're going to put him in the starting group, he can be your third scoring option on this Pistons team, not maybe on a finals team, but, he can do a little bit off the bounce, create a little bit on drives. He's kind of strong, and that's been an area I've been kind of impressed with. But, when you're playing him off of, I guess, Malachi Flynn and Quentin Grimes, like it's just inevitably Fontecchio is going to be asked to do way too much. And tonight, he probably had his worst game as a Piston. He was 2 of 8 from the field, had 3 turnovers, 2 of which were kind of really bad in the second half. Yeah, just never really got it going. He played 25 minutes, but all of them in the first half, a lot of them it felt like with this all bench lineup. So that's your third issue. Fourth issue, Evan Fournier. He plays 15 minutes tonight, 0 of 2 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3. Like 15 minutes is going to that guy. Like Evan Fournier, he's had a couple of moments with the Pistons where he's drained a few threes against the Knicks, and there was another game. He's only played like 5 games, but for the most part, like if he's not hitting threes or shooting threes, like man, in my opinion, it's tough to justify him being out there. Because he doesn't give you anything defensively. He doesn't, and teams attack him. So that's your fourth issue, and then your fifth issue, James Wiseman, like, God bless him, has all the physical tools in the world, but he just, for some reason, just cannot put it all together. He'll have one decent game, but he'll just so many moments where he just can't, haul in the rebound, or like he had a couple of nice offensive rebounds tonight, but just when you have Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren, you shouldn't need to play Wiseman at the backup 5. Like, I think we've seen enough. We've seen enough to know what he kind of is. And if he's struggling on the worst team in the league, one of the worst teams in NBA history, like I don't get it. Like tonight, there was a moment where he was on the floor with Cade, and Cade was running a pick and roll. And Wiseman set the screen and like drifted out to the 3-point line, and Cade had to yell at him, roll, roll. And then Wiseman kind of runs towards the rim and posts up under the basket, and then Cade ends up settling for like a pull-up midi. And it's just like, to me, like Isaiah Stewart pops when he sets the screen for Cade. Jalen Duren always rolls. Like, James Wiseman should be rolling to the basket. For some reason, he just naturally, he doesn't roll to the rim. Or if he does, he's slow to and seals his man and posts up, and it just clogs up the paint. And especially with Cade, like, you need to open the paint up for him to attack, because he's not Russell Westbrook. He's not Derrick Rose. He doesn't have that burst. He needs space to make things happen. And, you can provide space when you roll to the rim effectively, because it draws the defender and it collapses the defense. But like when you're not rolling to the rim, you're just standing there. It's just been getting in the way. It's frustrating. But that you're playing those 5 together, like they just don't even make sense together. And then you're putting them out there, and it's no wonder, I think that bench unit, the Pistons, I believe that old bench unit was fully in towards the end of the first quarter, and the score was like 27-22. I'm pretty sure like the Cavs went on like a 14-2 run and were up by like 20 points by the time the Pistons came back in the second quarter, and then Darius Garland just hit like 5 threes in a row, and the Pistons are down 30. And it was just, how much more data do you need? And like, forget the data. We know Monty's not the biggest analytics guy, but like, how much more do you need to see? Like, the Cavs didn't even have Donovan Mitchell tonight, and they're still an awesome team. I think they could finish with the second seed in the East. Like, but it's just self-sabotage. Like, you're just spotting teams. Like it's no wonder the Pistons scored 2 points to the Cavs 16 or something in that first quarter and second quarter stretch with the all bench, because they just, like I went through player by player, no one can create in that group effectively. Not only can they not create for themselves really, but they can't create for others. There's no playmakers. You're just throwing out 5 guys, and offense looked horrible. It was a lot of Fontecchio just forcing stuff, and it doesn't help anyone. So, and then you're starting 4 non-shooters still around Cade, which, yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. And then, I think it's worth, I guess we have to give Monty credit, because in the second half, he actually staggered Cade and Ivy, and we didn't see Malachi Flynn. So he had Cade and Ivy on the floor the whole time in the second half. And he also I don't think Wiseman might have played like 2 minutes because Durant got into he got a fifth foul in the third quarter. So I think Wiseman was on for a little bit, but then Stu took all the backup 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, and that's when the Pistons made their run. And it's just um like, oh, it's just so frustrating. Like, how has it taken so long to, like, Stu should just be the backup five. It's so frustrating because he looks so good at the five position, especially when he's going against, um, you know, smaller starting fives or starting fives that aren't like Nikola Jokic or something. But when he's against backups, like, he just dominates. Like tonight, Stu, I guess, is a kind of good segue. Like, he was excellent tonight. He had 16 points, 9 boards, 3 blocks, 3 assists, 6 of 12 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3. He even hit a step back 3 at one point, which was, crazy. But he, like, in my eyes, he was like the best Piston tonight in terms of consistency from start to finish. Like, he played excellent defense, I thought, rebounded the ball. 9 boards is good for him at the 4 position, playing backup 5, especially alongside Durant. And then, 3-point shot was falling. Teams still don't guard him, which is going to be an issue. But that's more of a Monty thing. Like, when you're playing him at the 4, that's not on Stu. Like, he can only do so. Like, can't force teams to guard him. Tonight, he knocks his threes down, 3 block shots. Yeah, his effort. In the opening few minutes, I think Durant missed a dunk, and then Allen came down the other end in transition, tried to dunk on Stu. Stu blocks it. Stu falls to the ground, looks into the camera, the baseline, says something into it. I think at this point he didn't realize Allen had the ball back. Then he gets back up as Allen's going to dunk again, and he blocks the shot again. Was offensive interference, but the refs missed it. So that was just an awesome sequence. Like, go back and watch that. But his energy and effort, like, I think these past 2 games, I spoke about it in my last recap after the Bulls game, but I think you can see kind of the impact he's having. Say what you want about the lineups. Like, I just went through it before, but I think he is so important to this team with the way it's constructed right now, because he's just the most consistent defender, gives the most consistent effort. And, when the 3 balls dropping like that, and I think he was 2 of 6 last game in Chicago. So, 6 of 13 from deep in his past 2 games. I think he scored 15 last game. So he's given you 15 points, 7 or 8 rebounds on decent 3-point shooting since returning. Plus, I think he had a couple of blocks last game. Like, that is a freaking awesome player. And some people are going to disagree with me. Comments, I think some people disagree with some of the stuff Stu does on court and maybe off the court, but I just, I always just evaluate him as a player. And I think he's so crucial to this team having any success with the way it's built. So, wanted to give him some love. And then the other player who really impressed me tonight was Asar Thompson. For the second consecutive game, I don't think we've said that this season, he hits 2 threes, 2 corner threes once again. He has the 15 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks, 6 of 11 from the field. Another excellent game from him. He's really putting together like a really solid stretch. Like, he's past 10 to 15 games. I'd have to look it up, but it feels like he's consistently getting 30 to 35 minutes now, which is what we've all wanted. He's getting back to, like, just when you look at his box score numbers, like, they're just getting back to that craziness. And I mentioned this in a previous video, but like, he's now stuffing the stat sheet, but he's also scoring efficiently. And once again tonight, +1 in a game Detroit were down by 30. He had a plus-minus of +1. So, I think that speaks volumes to kind of how he played. He just, he got cooked a little bit by Garland. He was the guy defending Garland. He was draining all those threes. But if you go back and watch the tape, like, Garland was just pulling up and drilling him in Asar's face. Asar did get lost on some screens with Garland, but I don't know. He's a rookie. Like, I know I've said this for the young core, like, they're just rookies, and, like, you can sometimes get into a bad habit of thinking just because 'cause they're rookies, they're gonna fix these things, but I've seen enough from him defensively to know, like, he's gonna fix these things up, and, yeah, he's gonna be one of the league's top wing defenders, and an all like, he's already, like, you can tell he's gonna be an all NBL all NBL, all NBA defensive player, like, once he hits his prime, if not earlier, so awesome game from him. Nice to see the 3 assists. That's the area that, I think has come and gone for him throughout the season, was, like, just that playmaking or that connective playmaking we spoke a lot about with Asar in the draft process and at Summer League, like, that connective passing he has on the break in transition. I feel like I'm seeing that a little bit more again, which is nice to see him trust, his teammates trust him with the ball in his hands in transition. So, um, really good game from Asar, I thought. Um, Then that kind of leaves us with the Pistons backcourt once again. Cade and Ivy. Cade played a really solid fourth quarter, I thought. He finishes with 21 points and 10 assists. I think those numbers probably look better than he probably played. I think the first half he kind of struggled. Finished 6 of 90 from the field. He always struggles against the Cavs just because of their rim protection. And because the Pistons don't have much spacing, he's kind of going into trees in Mobley and Allen. It's kind of just a nightmare matchup for someone like Cade with the way the team's set up around him right now. Because the Pistons don't put spacing out there, Allen and Mobley can just camp in the paint, which, as I said, is a nightmare for someone like Cade, who can't really get up and dunk on people in a half-court setting, and got to the line 7 times tonight, but early on he wasn't really getting to the line, and he's not typically someone that gets a ton of free throws. So against the Cavs, it always feels like he has these kind of 5 of 15, 6 of 19 games. 2 of 8 from 3. He hit a couple in the first half, but then there was a few instances, I must say, in the fourth quarter where he had open looks and he just couldn't get him to drop like he has been since post All-Star break. So yeah, he still finishes with a +3 in this one. I think tonight, like, I can see, like, regardless, we're going to get this starting 5 no matter what, because Monty said he's going to continue to use it and see how it goes. So I think we're going to get used to that. But yeah, not having the spacing out there in that first half, I think, really hurt him, because, like I said, that paint was just looking so congested. I thought the Cavs were playing zone at times, but they weren't playing zone. Like, they just don't have to cover the corners with the starting 5 the Pistons have, so they can camp in the paint, and it looks like a 2-3 zone. So Ivy, struggled. He was 0 of 8 from 3 at one point, finished as 1 of 9. Had some really nice drives. It was a weird game from him because he looked awesome inside the arc, but he took a lot of questionable shots outside the arc. Had 2. It just looked like tonight sometimes you just rock up to a game and you actually just cannot shoot. And I think that's fine to have those off shooting nights. Like, he airballed 2 threes in the first quarter, but yeah, there was a few times he took threes. One in particular, I think it might have been in the third, where he missed a 3 pretty badly. Pistons get the offensive rebound, kick it back to Ivy. He shoots it immediately with the defender closing out behind him, misses it badly. Those are the ones where you just go, Jaden, I know you want to win. I know you're pressing, but that is a horrible shot. You've got the offensive rebound just after a pretty badly missed 3. I know you're trying to get your confidence back up and get yourself going, but yeah, game context is important. Then your team needs a much better offensive possession than a rush 3 immediately after just miss 1. So only 1 turnover. The Pistons only had 8 turnovers in the game. So yeah, they did take care of the ball, but some of their shot selection at times was pretty poor. And like I said, it's due to a whole number of things: poor spacing, all bench lineups, incorrect kind of, not enough playmaking out there. Like, it's crazy. Like, I mean, as the video is titled, like, I am pretty much firmly the belief now Monty's rotations are holding this team back from not making the play-in, not making the playoffs, but they're holding them back for some wins, especially since the trade deadline. Like I think we have seen with the moves the Pistons have made, and I'm going to get into some of the stuff that's happened just post the game today, but with the players the Pistons have acquired, mainly in Grimes and Fontecchio, we have seen those guys play really well with the Pistons, 4 to 5 young players. We have seen like 7 to 8 players look really like functional together and produce some good competitive basketball. But Monty's unwillingness to kind of lean into those new guys with the core four and continuing to like put bench lineups out there, play, vets big minutes that don't deserve them, like just it's baffling that it was ridiculous. It took Monty half a season to realize you need to start Jaden Ivey with Cade Cunningham. It's ridiculous that it took a meeting with the front office to tell him Jaden Ivey needs to start. Like, I just don't understand how he's so far behind the 8 ball when it comes to fielding a proper rotation. Like, I'm not normally one, like Dwayne Casey, I never tried to bash him too much because I'm not a coach. 95% of the people on Twitter who have a go at coaches have never coached a game in their life and don't understand it. So I try not to kind of bash coaches because I just think there's so much more that goes into it with managing relationships, expectations, player agents, expectations. Like, it is an incredibly tough job. But these rotations he's putting out, it just seems like he puts I don't understand it. I just don't understand it at all. Especially now with the players the Pistons have. It's inevitable. At the end of the first quarter, they're all bench lineups going to be in there and the Pistons going to, they're going to spot the other team 10 to 12 points. They're going to give them an 8-0 run. And you just know that Cade is going to be checking back in and the Pistons are going to be down 12. They're going to be down 16. Or on a good night, they'll only be down 6. But, yeah. I think I'm going to close out this one is just on the news that the Pistons have waived Shake Milton. So that came out immediately after the game, reported by Shams and Woj. And just, first of all, that means the Pistons have 2 open roster spots now. So I have no idea who they're looking at to fill those, but have 2 open roster spots. Obviously, they can't make any trades, so maybe there's a buyout guy. Maybe there's someone from overseas they're looking at. I don't know. But what I will say is that means now, since the trade deadline, the Pistons have waived Killian Hayes, Danilo Gallinari, Mike Muscala, Shake Milton, Joe Harris, Daniel House, Ryan Arcidiacono. Hope I pronounced that right. But the ones I want to focus on, obviously, the first pair is Gallinari and Mike Muscala. So the Pistons traded multiple second-round picks, Marvin Bagley, for Gallinari and Muscala, who both played 5 games. Gallo was waived much earlier, but Muscala stayed with the team, was only waived a week ago or 2 weeks ago. But the Pistons essentially gave up second-round picks just to dump Bagley's salary, $30 million for next season, to open up $30 million this offseason. So both those guys are gone now. So that was essentially a salary dump for the Pistons. And you gave up second-round assets. That trade looks horrible. I thought, it already looked a bit strange, but Gallinari kind of made sense to me. He's 35 years old. I think a buyout was kind of always inevitable. He wants to win a ring. That's fine. He wasn't even really getting consistent minutes with the Pistons. It was a tricky fit. But to not play Muscala was a weird one. But I think this is where player agents come into it. And this is not me defending the Pistons, but I feel this is Muscala's gone back to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah, I don't understand that because he was like one of the Pistons. When they put him on the court, it made sense. You could play him at the 5, you could play him alongside Isaiah Stewart, you could play him alongside Asar Thompson at the 4. It actually really worked as spacing big. Pistons need a spacing big, but no, he's waived. Shake Milton, I can't remember the exact trade. That was the Monte Morris trade for Shake Milton and Troy Brown Jr., who both Troy and Shake featured in the rotation in their first couple of games. Now they've both been out of the rotation since the All-Star break now. But yeah, Monte Morris, like, it's kind of, he was going to be a free agent this summer. Like, I don't understand. This trade just looks strange now. Like, why not keep, this team could desperately use a backup point guard. I don't understand. Like, I know there's things going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to, but this team desperately needs a backup point guard. Like, so you're going to get rid of Shake Milton, who's kind of a combo guard, and then he also lost Monte Morris, and now you've got Troy Brown Jr., who's not in the rotation. Like, what was the point of that trade? I would love for someone to tell me in the comments what the point of that trade was. Unless Monte just begged to go to a contender to try and win a ring. But Monte seemed pretty happy about playing for his hometown team and wanted to keep playing for his hometown team in Detroit. So unless he begged for a trade out and the Pistons want to come across, they're trying to learn free agents this summer and they want to be a player-friendly team. But, at some point, like, he's not LeBron James. Like, he's not a star like Monte Morris. If he asks for a trade out, like, I'm sure you can push back a little bit. That just looks bizarre now. So, like, as happy as I was with the Fontecchio trade and the Grimes trade's actually starting to look quite good just because of how poor Bogdanovic and Burks have looked. And mind you, Grimes has not looked great. He's missed a ton of open threes tonight and hasn't been hitting those. But yeah, I think where I'll finish is it just seems like there is never really a plan. It just seems like chaos. Like, the Pistons have waived. I'm not gonna read the names, but they've waived 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players. I don't think I've ever seen something like that. Like, 7 players on this team, like, and 3 of which played minutes on the team after they were traded here within the past few weeks. And then 5 of those 7 guys were just, 2 of those guys never played. Killian and Joe Harris, waived just for nothing. Like, I've never seen something like this. And I'm just so confused and, like, I just don't think this is normal at all. And it's just front office, coaching staff, this just continues to be strange. Like, I think I'm now comfortable. I was a bit worried about the talent, before the trade was done, but I've seen now what this team can look like with functional support and role players around their young core. And I think it's, like, pretty, gives me hope. But what doesn't give me hope is kind of the rotations and then some of the stuff that's going on with the front office. Just these, like, kind of moves out of nowhere. Like, just Muscala was the same. He got waived straight after the Sacramento Kings win. Like, not that timing's weird, but it's the whole thing. It's just weird, actually. Just weird. And that's how I'm going to finish it. If anyone, I would actually be very grateful if someone could try and explain to me why the Pistons would waive all these players. Like, I get why they had to waive House and Arcidiacono, but I don't understand the Gallinari, Muscala, and Shake Milton, why they had to waive them. I don't get it. So if someone could explain it to me, I'd be very grateful. But until the Pistons game on Sunday, I think they're playing the Magic again. Unless any breaking news, we'll be back. But till then, go Pistons.